Want to do a real quick video on soil amendments and soil building in general. So when I start out, I have my peat moss, and that gets put into my worm farm with the compost. Like, here's a little bit of compost that does not have any peat moss mixed in with it because it's just a tiny bit. Compost, the peat moss is great to mix in with your compost because it absorbs a lot of the water, so you don't have too much dripping out the bottom here. So when the earthworm castings are finished, I move them into this container, and we just have great soil structure here. Microbes and the microlife are actually what create this kind of crumbly soil structure I've been learning about. So once my earthworm castings are in here, I amend them with lava rocks and a little bit more peat moss. That's kind of visual, depending on how it feels and how it looks, and mostly by feel, because that can really tell you a lot. Stuff is great. So in here, I mix sometimes the bigger stuff that I don't want to put in my earthworm farm, like this is corn cob, stems, big fan leaves, stuff like that. And so I mix all that in along with the soil amendments, and make sure to keep it evenly moist like a damp sponge. So here, my soil amendments, I'm going to talk about the core 4 or core 3. Depends on, I guess, whoever taught you to garden. So crustacean meal, I think, is really important because it contains chitin, versus something like crab meal, which doesn't. I'm not sure exactly. I'll have to get back to you on that one. But anyway, so crustacean meal, calcium carbonate, chitin, which is great in the soil, helps bug control. Biochar, home for microbes, lasts forever, a lot longer than you'll be gardening. Once you charge it correctly, it can become a great soil additive. It is not a nutrient or fertilizer. It is a nutrient carrier and home for microbes. And I mix it in my potting soil about 5-6% of the total volume. Outdoors, I'd probably do a lot more depending on the soil and where we're at in the world and how much it rains and all that. There's a lot of environmental factors that go on with any soil amendment that you use, actually. Like, you wouldn't want to use a ton of kelp meal where it rains because kelp retains a lot of water, so you could have soggy soil. But kelp meal, of course, calcium, magnesium, the whole full spectrum of everything that your plant could possibly need. You could grow with just kelp meal alone and still have pretty nice plants. There's also bug control, rooting hormone, and all kinds of awesome stuff in the kelp meal. Neem cake, what can I say? Neem cake's awesome. I use it all the time. I brush my teeth with it. I thought about buying neem deodorant, but I might be going a little far. Lights just clicked off. So anyways, these are the 4 basic soil amendments: neem cake, kelp meal, crustacean meal, and biochar that I would probably not grow without if I was building my own soil, or if I was starting out with a really loose soil that didn't really have any organic matter in it. And then so in my total soil mix, so I have chicken manure, gypsum, oyster shell flour, Basalt rock dust, clay soil, rock dust, and alfalfa meal gets all put in there, and then I use silica with all my waterings, and that's about all the elements that I put in my soil outside of this earthworm farm. You can see here there's leftovers from malted barley grain tea there. Some malted barley grains. Yeah, that stuff goes great in the soil. Earthworms love it. But that's my soil mixing. Just keep adding to it, man.